Yes, yes. Here's the deal. I've had enough of Jackson. You've had enough of Jackson. And so today we've added to the roster. Candidly, I think we've upgraded the roster. It is my pleasure, nay, honor, to welcome to the program Balloon Party presented by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota, the great Cam Janssen. Listen to this, Jackson. This is me clapping.
What's up?
What do you say, brother?
What's going on, man?
It's great to see you.
It's good to see you guys. You look great. Jackson, you look good too, man.
What do you think about
Thanks,
Jackson?
Cam.
Jackson
Working
catches
hard.
a lot of hell for his complexion being pale. I catch a lot of hell for my hairline.
Oh, Timmy,
height.
don't even get me started on that.
Yeah, you tended to it.
Yeah, no, and it's just it's not good right now.
Really? What do you mean it's not good? You
No,
got
it's-
it all taken care of.
Well, I got a
right?
hat on. You know.
Yes, that tells you
But
something.
anytime when you go do an event, I don't think about it. But then you do the event, and people are filming you doing different things, and then you get the video, and you're like, oh, like yep, I'm gonna have to shave it down a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, it's gonna be that time. You
So
know?
it's not going well, is what
It's
you're
not
saying.
going well. In the back part, it's more of a cul-de-sac back
no.
there, so it's all good. And I'm putting on weight too, so it's a double combination. It's great. It's great. But I'm skating tonight with the alumni. We skate at 4:20 on Wednesdays, so I'll probably burn like 1,500 calories. So it's all good.
Who's bringing the most to these skates out of the alumni?
Me?
Really?
Well, it's a combination. It depends on who's out there. You know what I mean? It used to be the old school group where Chaser and Bruce Affleck and Peter Stosny would be out there. Now it's like me, Jim Campbell, Andy McDonald, Barrett Jackman, and a couple other guys, and then it's a bunch of young kids that dominate.
Oh,
And then I'll
they
have to-
dominate you guys.
Well, it depends on how I stack the teams.
I see.
I
You're
know.
the guy? You're the Gary Bettman?
Well, we kind of all look at each other like, no, put on blue. So it depends on who walks in. So whoever walks in that beautiful locker room we have with the alumni, I'll be like, we'll all look at each other like, yep, blue, put on blue. You could go white, you put blue. So we kind of stack the teams a little bit, but it's fun, man. It's a good workout.
It's a good workout, Jackson. You should respect the game of hockey. Cam, I know you occasionally will tune into this program. Your thoughts on Jackson's not only lack of knowledge of the game of hockey, but really lack of respect?
I get where you're coming from, man.
Oh, my gosh.
How do you like that?
That's a peace offering
No, I do.
from an enforcer, Jackson.
It's hard to get into hockey.
Have you gotten bigger? Like you, like
Yeah,
I'm more intimidated.
wow.
He
Come
gives
on,
a
what did we
kind
just talk
gesture,
about?
and you just like weight shame him.
No, I was-
You weren't even paying attention.
No, I was-
did notice when I asked you a question, you like turned to your back. It was like
God.
a protest. Oh, we're going to talk hockey. I'll turn around.
No, the last time I saw Cam and I was gonna kind of come over the top and kind of do my thing, and then I looked up, I was like, that chest has gotten bigger since the
No,
last
it's my
time I
face.
saw him.
It's your chest. It's a chest. It's a lot of things. Listen, when you do radio for the past 8 years, you don't lose weight. You know what I mean? When you go from skating every
Good
day.
observation.
And not to mention, I'm like looking down at my phone all the time now because you have to see what's going on. I want to read different things. I want to be up to date on whatever
Sure.
I can be. I got this bulge in the back where this my
What's going on?
because my posture's
Oh,
bad.
really? Oh, that
Yes,
sucks.
I know.
How old are you now?
I'm 40.
You are 40.
Yeah,
Okay, I was thinking
feel
in
great,
the late 30s.
But just a different posture. When you play all the time and you're skating all the time and you're in the locker room, you're doing things like my posture was so much better. I'm getting worked on. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Then it stops. And now you're doing radio and all that. And literally
down all the
looking
time.
at my phone. What's going on?
See, I go laptop to
Yeah.
avoid the phone thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing, but it's not.
Your posture could be better with that.
I think
so.
I think that's the move.
But Jackson, I get what you're saying, dude. Like getting into hockey's difficult. It is. My parents never got me into golf, tennis, or basketball.
Yeah.
And so me watching basketball right now, unless it's like a huge game somewhere, or Caitlin Clark maybe, or something like that, like I'm not into it, man.
I respect
All I hear
it.
is squeak, 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 squeak.
Yeah, I respect
so
it.
he's
How's that?
respectfully saying, "Look,
Have I been disrespectful?
No, I'm just saying, isn't that refreshing?
It is. It is very
I
refreshing.
think some of the listeners would say you've been disrespectful. I pointed out the Draisaitl contract, and you said, "Oh, that's like a guy."
I heard that.
You heard that?
Well, I said, but what I was stating was like true. It was
Totally
nothing.
true.
Nothing I said was incorrect.
Boy, look at Cam.
Why do you think that is?
I know. I don't really like. Usually, I like when people are combative. It makes
No,
it.
I don't think you want
trust me.
this though over here.
No, I know.
I'll be combative with you when it's necessary, but like right now, I feel like
Cam's getting credibility.
I,
Jackson.
I know.
I saw that too, where Draisaitl signed that big ticket, and you compare it to everybody else, and you're like, well, are they that marketable? And I know you can say baseball players aren't that marketable either. Do they do a great job? Shohei Ohtani, I see him everywhere. Do I see Trout that much? I don't know.
No,
Maybe
not
not
really.
really.
Right.
So there's certain guys, but hockey players like even Sidney Crosby. Do you see commercials with him in St. Louis?
No.
Now, all the Canadians will give me crap about it, but I'm like, no, you're in a bubble up there. We're talking about the middle of the United States. Do I see commercials about any really hockey player?
I was about to ask, who is the most? I just turned to Jackson as if he was going to have any. Still 99.
Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky was on everything when he was in L.A. Like, he really blew the game up. And there's certain guys that do now with Crosby and whatnot, McDavid, but they're still in their little bubbles. They're not like worldwide, nationwide. It's tough to market. I don't know.
It's a really good observation because the game is so great, but so much of it revolves around getting people to enter into fandom. And I truly do think Jackson would be a fan if that opportunity would have been there, especially for you being a big sports fan of everything else. It's not like so the marketing does speak to it. I think baseball is actually in that spot now as well with failing to market effectively. Hey, Cam, I want to get into a bunch of things with you in here for the day, but I went to we were talking and I knew you the day we were talking, actually you were going to do your interview with Doug Armstrong. I thought that answer regarding Pietrangelo was incredible. We played it on both TMA and Balloon Party. It was a great interview. Major recommendation. It's the Cam and Strick podcast, and you guys have big time guests, and Armstrong was in for like how long? I mean, that was a long form interview. It was a great interview.
Hour and a half maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great interview. He was really honest there.
He is always honest.
Yeah, which is why people love him. But the thing that I wanted to bring up, and I know it's a sad topic, but before you guys got to the Armstrong interview, and I was listening to the podcast, I think it was the day after the Gaudreau brothers tragedy, and you were telling the audience and talking with Andy Strickland about how you woke up, saw the news, and you and your wife Kate both were emotional, and it's not like you knew him, but it hit you so hard. I actually watched. I have no idea what prompted me to do so. I watched all 35 minutes or so of his widow Meredith's eulogy. So powerful, and I think it resonated with millions of people, and most of whom never met him. It's a tragedy anytime somebody loses their life at a young age, especially in those circumstances with his brother, who he was so close with. Why did that hit you so hard, do you think?
Well, any time, look, if you put the whole situation together, like, you couldn't even write up a more horrific script
on the day of his or the night before his sister's wedding.
I could just kind of see what they were in, such a happy mood. All their family was at their house. They're just taking their bikes. They're probably having fun. Yeah, and they're like, we're going to go take our bikes and we're going to go cruise and go see our buddies. And then tonight we're going to do this. And then tomorrow's going to be such a big day and blah, 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 blah. We have another kid coming on the way. Everything's just so perfect. And then you make a decision to take your bikes on a kind of a weird road. Yeah. I don't know if it was, all roads are bike friendly. I don't know how that was. I don't know if they were on helmets or they had the right reflector or whatever. We had a guy that was drinking who was an aggressive driver. I don't even care if he's drinking. I see aggressive drivers all the time. I live way out there, man, and I take these windy roads in the middle of nowhere, and I see these guys at 6 o'clock in the morning going literally 100 miles an hour.
Really?
Passing me. I'm a slow driver. Passing me. There's deer about to come out and about to hit us. They don't care. They got to get to the job site. And I'm just thinking, like, God, some of these, and I see cyclists on there all the time. And Kate and I look at each other like, man, I would never want you doing that right there. Like, there's parks and stuff like that. So I'm not blaming it on Gaudreau family. Of course we're going to blame it on the guy who was aggressive and drinking, of course, but the whole situation I looked at could have been avoided, and just everything together, and how many people that we all know in the hockey world that know him and how good of a guy he is. Not to mention Columbus. Columbus has gotten a couple years ago. This happened, remember, at Manny Legacy's house? Yes, with the two goalies, Elvis Merlinklis, and then the Kiwi. His nickname's Kiwi's a Finnish goalie, and it's the firework thing. And I mean, my gosh almighty! Not to mention they had a case even back a couple years before that, where I think a little girl got hit in the head with a puck.
Yes, that's where it started.
So they're going through a tough time, man. So that whole thing, Kate and I, of course, she doesn't know who he is either, but we sat there. And we're watching this, and we just couldn't stop watching it. We just cried, and we're like, man, oh man, it just was tough. It was tough. So the whole situation's god awful. Yeah,
I don't know what led to me watching not the entire funeral, but the eulogy. Yeah. And then she talked about if she could have 1 week back, it was the week that they knew that they were a family of 5. and she talked about that she had just found out she was pregnant. I mean, just absolutely gut-wrenching. But in the face of that tragedy, she was able to deliver what was as beautiful of a eulogy as you could when you're, what I would gather, in her late 20s or something, and just lost her husband, and she's pregnant and mother of two. But your Armstrong interview, that's why I tuned in, and I heard you talking about that. And so that's what I wanted to ask you. It's circling back to the Armstrong interview, and you guys get big-time guests on that podcast all the time. It's a great listen if you're a hockey fan. I'm sure most of our audience is already well aware of that. Anything else stand out to you in that conversation with Doug Armstrong? You guys recorded it, I guess, 2 weeks ago. I thought the honesty regarding the Petrangelo situation was not only insightful, but refreshing. What else stood out to you as we're on the threshold of things getting underway?
Well, regarding the Petro situation, he would have gotten into a lot more if Petro wasn't playing.
Yeah.
Like, you got to respect that situation, and rightfully so. But he did say, like, he drives past Enterprise Center, and he looks at Bernie and Holly and the boys, the big boys, and he's like, you know what? 2-7 would have been right out there.
Yeah.
No, but you look at that situation for Petro, and you're like, he won a cup. Now, maybe the Blues would have won another cup whenever the whole Kadri situation happened with Benner, if Petro was involved. If COVID didn't happen, maybe they would. They were rocking and rolling. COVID blew up everything for, many reasons for everybody, not just athletes, so I don't want to go too far into that.
Sure,
But the Blues were rocking, and if he was on the Blues, would they won another Stanley Cup? I don't know, but what I do know is he did. Mm-hmm. He did win another cup. And, like, for him, was it worth it? Got a little bit more money? Is he going to have a statue here? Probably not. But he won another cup. So if you kind of weigh the options, like, he kind of won out in that situation. And I do think the way Army did talk about that, I do think that maybe that was one of the decisions he maybe could have. And now, look, there's a lot more that went on to it, and we don't know Petro's side and what else was going on. Like, there's a lot of little details and stuff like that. But I do think that one kind of bugged him. And, I do think Army wanted Petro around to see that kind of a statue being built for the first time, Stanley Cup winner captain. Like, my God, how cool of a story would that be? But everything works out in different ways, man. And Petro's doing pretty good up in Vegas. I think he's got like 19 houses. On, like, seriously, he's buying houses.
Is that right?
He's buying up property.
Multiplying those dollars.
Dude, he's buying up property in Vegas, like building these, buying these houses on the cliffside, looking down on the strip. Pretty cool.
Oh, God bless him.
He's okay.
He's gonna be just fine.
But another thing I would say real quick is he talked about Jake Neighbors, and we see this with the Cardinals too. With Jordan Walker and Victor Scott II, kind of getting called up and down. Like, that wears you out, man. I've been through that too as a young kid, not knowing where you're at. And all of a sudden you make the team, you're like, yay, I'm here. And then they're like, no, you're not ready. So 2-3 weeks down, you get sent down. You know how hard that is? You're like, I'm with the guys. I'm going to dinners. I'm doing this. I'm flying. Let's go. And all of a sudden you get sent back down 2 weeks later, like, whoa, see you later, confidence. But if you dominate throughout the training camp and all of a sudden you get sent down, you're like, okay, I know where I was. Deal. Now I'm going to dominate here. It's just a different mindset.
Sure. So that's a good analogy there on that. So, they're super high on him, aren't they, on Neighbors? I mean, that's not just what he, I think, kind of surprisingly overperformed on the ice, but I get the sense that they look at him as a guy.
He might have a heavy sweater.
That's exactly right. I like that term, Jackson.
Like that?
You like that?
Right? No idea what it means.
What do you think? What do you think it means?
Heavy. Oh, I bet I can
what
guess.
Do you think?
You wear the C on it because it's the extra weight.
A C or an A.
Yeah, right.
Your sweater's a little heavier.
Right.
Rockio would have got that, just so you know.
Yeah, well,
just
talking big and rock.
No, it's all good, man. It's all good.
I got it eventually, I got there.
I was kind of surprised by that.
Yeah. Biggest C in the world.
Yeah.
Now, what did that mean?
Wait, what does that mean?
Yeah, it seems like you're doing a double entendre there. My kids are probably listening, and I'm going to have to explain that.
I thought you guys were hockey guys. This show Shorzy, all about hockey. They talk about the biggest C in the world. Big old C on their sweater. I thought you guys were hockey guys.
Cam actually did play in the league.
Yeah, I know.
Did you say Shorzy?
That's right.
Yeah, I was supposed to do that with them, but that was during COVID, and I couldn't get to Canada.
It's a Canadian TV show.
Yeah.
And
do you know what teams Cam played for?
I do. He played for the New Jersey Devils. He played for the St. Louis Blue Note.
What else? I'll give you $20. You get this.
Probably some crazy Russian team, I had to guess.
I'm not going to Russia. They offered me money, and I go.
Did you get an offer?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a cup of coffee with the Panthers? I'm getting you and Jamie Rivers mixed up.
I might give you $10 for this because you're half right. Not the Florida Panthers. Nottingham, England
I actually
Panthers.
knew about
Oh, okay.
Nottingham. I actually
I'll give you
knew
$10
it.
for that.
Yeah, look at that. Trying to make up some of the money you're
Offset,
losing
yeah.
to me.
Yeah, so I
Jackson's
heard
losing
that.
some
I heard
wagers
that.
here.
But the Devils and the Blues are the two.
Yeah, absolutely.
There
Yeah.
you go. Look at that. Look at you.
Yeah.
You had a
man.
big hockey show today.
Yeah, well, we
are.
spent a year at the
You're
same
learning.
station. Yeah, and I got to know Cam.
Yeah,
I tried my best, you know.
Dude, ask me about basketball. I mean, I just didn't get into it. Like, my parents never got me into basketball. You know what makes me mad? Not that. They never got me into golf.
And now you're out there hitting bombs.
No.
So defeated.
I bet you, though, I bet
No,
you could get that worked out and hit it like 330.
It's bad right now.
Does it
Yeah.
like go straight and then just make a hard right? That's what I would guess it does.
I mean, I'm
Without
just
seeing it.
you know,
Without seeing it.
So I got a concert. I party on the course a little bit too. Maybe I need to
Also, it's
chill.
something I could picture.
I need to chill a little bit. That's all.
Well, why not? Why not enjoy it? You got to play in the NHL.
I am
live
enjoying
up.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly right.
Yeah, so it's all
You
good.
don't want to be me out there and pissed off because I bogeyed a hole or something. I'd rather be completely drunk. And,
Can I be a mix of that? Can there be an in between?
Yeah, I play
you
with
know?
guys who get wasted and take money from me all the time. It's
You know?
great. Yeah, that's that. Those are the guys who are winning.
Yeah.
Cam Janssen in today with us on Balloon Party. He and Jackson talking about the NHL. Two
Yep.
guys who know puck.
Puckman.
Puckman is what they call it. Jackson, what is the name of the series of questions you have for me and Cam today?
That's a Wide Berth Wednesday. You already know.
Yep.
Act like you don't know, really.
That's exactly right. That is coming your way. Do we have trivia today, by the way? Do you see that look, Cam? You can tell Jackson doesn't know. He didn't have to say anything. I could
that's
just tell he
great.
didn't know.
I love it.
I kind of threw Mike Ryder under the bus yesterday, so he's
Yes, you
kind of
did.
not giving me any
Oh, he's
information.
silent treatment,
Yeah.
as he should.
So, no, we're not giving away tickets.
Okay, no tickets
yeah,
today. No
and that's
trivia.
Ryder's fault. He's going to come in here in the break and tell me we are, and then, so, yeah, just prepare for that.
Well, that gives us more time with the Little Piddles Wide Berth Wednesday. That is coming away. Cam Janssen, Jackson Burkett, Tim McKernan with you. This is Balloon Party on 101 ESPN. I mean, we got a legend texting in, Jackson, and I hope you respect him. With Cam in here today, you need to be minding your P's and Q's. I don't know what this means. Cam, maybe you can interpret it.
What up?
Big Al wrote, he really is bad.
Oh, God.
That's from Big Al. I don't know. You could be talking about any of the three of us. Air Comfort Service.
Nah, he's talking about my golf game.
Oh, really? You guys get out there and...
We've had him, we've had these big, we put on a couple big events with all of our buddies, and somehow he finds a way to be involved.
Oh,
you
is
know?
that right?
Yeah.
He finds himself in the sponsor's exemption in the field.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, and so... he has seen me play plenty of times, and no, he's right. I am bad. It's embarrassing, but I can entertain you. Like if you, if we're in a tournament and you got a celebrity on each whatever, and somebody bids on me and spends money, yeah, I'm not going to help you win. Fine, I'll give you that. I'm not going to help you win, but I will entertain you the whole time. And I'll pump your tires up. Good job. Yeah, I'm awesome at that. Been doing it my whole life.
Yeah, that's what you do. Cam Janssen in today here on Balloon Party. Balloon Party is brought to you by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota, Jackson, Bennett, Burkett. Cam, he prepares 6 questions. They have different names each day. Today, Jackson, what do you have for Cam?
Wide Birth Wednesday.
Wide Birth Wednesday. Wow. So, I mean, anything goes.
It really does.
All right, let's see what you got.
Let's see.
What are you going to lead with Cam here?
How does a rebuild, because the Blues and Cardinals are in kind of a similar situation.
Yeah. Do you think the Blues and the Cardinals are similar? I'm not just going to let Jackson throw his opinions on you and you have to agree with him.
I think they are. I think that the Blues have, and I've heard you talk about this, I've heard a lot of other people talk about it, I think the Blues have a better vision of what's going on right now. And that, to me and the fans, I think goes a long, long way. So I do think there is a little bit of a retool. They got work to do. The Blues need to figure a couple things out. They had 2 bad seasons. It is what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You had Colton Parayko play a lot better last year. You had Jordan Bennington play a lot better last year. You got some guys. You got Jordan Kyrou. You still got Robert Thomas. You got Jake Neighbors coming out of nowhere, but you need to make the playoffs, man. You do. And then the Army was really, really aggressive. You gotten younger and you gotten faster. Now everybody's like, oh, I'm interested to see these young kids. Who are these guys? And who's going to make this team? You got a lot of players competing for some spots here in the top 6, the bottom 6, and on the D-Corps. You got Ryan Suter now. Right. You got Broberg. You got Holloway. Let's go see who's going to crack this lineup. Competition. That excites me.
I like that. I think people get on board with a rebuild if they kind of know what it is. Yeah. I guess they've been careful not to call it a rebuild. They call it a retool.
Whatever.
Yeah. I had a feeling that wasn't really going to stir emotion in you.
Yeah.
So my question is, how does a rebuild differ in hockey compared to baseball? Do you think it's tougher for fans to buy into one over the other?
I think you could be more entertaining as a team in hockey if you aren't that good. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I do know what you're talking about.
So in baseball, if you're not good, like it's hard to be exciting. You know what I mean? Unless you have a big bopper, maybe, you got to, but you still need a little bit more. In hockey, you could still play very competitive. You could be mean. You could fight. You could do this. You could do that. You can make it competitive. Like even the Ottawa Senators, they've been so bad for a long, long time. But if I go and watch Brady Tkachuk play and maybe they lose, like those guys, they battle and he's hitting guys, he's doing this, he's doing that. I'm like, I'm still going to come watch you play because you guys are still somewhat entertaining. Now, that only lasts so long.
Sure, yeah.
Like, you got to figure it out. But I think in hockey, you could just be more entertaining to the fans, not being good.
I got the sense, and please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but the Blues played, and I think I was at both games, the Coyotes in a short amount of time last year. Now the Utah Hockey Club, am I correct? Is that what it is? And
I'm like, until next year.
And then what will they be?
I hope the Yeti.
I think it's going to be the Yetis too. Yeah,
be a Yeti. Let's be
Jackson,
scary.
you like their sweater colors?
Big fan.
Yeah, I thought so.
I'm a big fan. I like it's like the Rangers style where it's like diagonal across. I like that.
The light blue as well.
Yeah, big fan.
Well, yeah.
But you could see that there was some young talent there. It certainly didn't resonate with the public in Arizona. And I gather, I was reading an article in The Athletic yesterday, as a matter of fact, that they feel like the Coyotes, now the Utah Hockey Club, could be a team because of that young talent that could break through. We really haven't seen that in St. Louis. I guess you were around it, right? I mean, kind of the come grow with us.
Oh, yeah.
Remember come grow with us?
Of course I do.
And that was the way to try to get people on board, knowing that things had fallen apart. The Cardinals are in a weird spot because they kind of try to play both. We got young players, but we're still going to be competitive. And the DeWitts have never been in a spot where they've gone full-on rebuild, retool, whatever. I think fans would get on board with it if they knew that that was the plan, whereas the Blues have a bunch of young players. What is it, 12 first-round picks now?
Yeah, there's a lot.
Under 25? I think that's what it is.
And you got to do something with those, too.
Sure.
They're not all going to play.
But you recognize that, there's a certain amount that won't turn into stars in the NHL, but you got to convert a few of them. I wonder about this, and I think I was talking about this with somebody off the air. I'm curious what your perspective is on this. They're in a weird spot that you have this great goaltender who had a hell of a year last year, but by the time some of these hopefully young stars start to come into their own in the league, will Binnington start to be, kind of tailing off? But when you got a great goaltender, you feel like you got to capitalize on it. How do you balance the two?
There's nothing to do about that. You know what I mean? Like maybe Bolduc and Snuggerud won't be ready, but they're, maybe they will be ready. Maybe they'll be really, really good when Benner's just at the very last part of his, peak. Yeah. And then you got Joe Hofer. I mean, it is hard to find a goalie. It's not like, hey, well, let's find another one. It's very difficult to do. So, maybe they are in a situation where Benner is getting a little bit older. What is he right now? Is he
just turned 31, I thought.
Like goalies are different, too.
Yeah.
You don't need to keep your speed up as much, I don't know. I'm not too worried about that, actually.
Okay.
I think Benner's going to be pretty dang good for a long time here. And you got Joel Hofer chiming in the mix. And sometimes, man, now these goalie tandems, like, Hofer might play a lot of games. If Benner's not playing well, he needs some break. Well, now you got, that's not a unique thing anymore. It's not Grant Fuhrer playing 75. Marty Brodeur, when I was playing with him, playing 70 games a year. Know how the hell he did that. Yeah. But I'm not too worried about that. I think the Blues are in an okay spot right now where you got young talent, you got competition. They start up next week. You still got some big defensemen. You still got Colton Parayko. Let's see what this Probert does. He could solidify that left side. I'm excited about what's going on, but anything could happen this year. But I tell you what, they got some young talent that could be really, really good.
What do you think of what they've got going on? Drew Bannister's now the coach. Armstrong has announced Steen that will be taking over. Yeah. What do you think of the dynamic both behind the bench and in the front office?
Well, I'm not going to call Steen or Steenie Weenie anymore. Like
you can't do that anymore.
He's Alexander.
He's Alexander.
He is Alexander.
It used to be Steenie Weenie.
It used to be Steenie Weenie. But no, he that's great. I mean, Army knows where he's at. He's like, okay, he kind of smelled what was in the air, and he's like, this is what I want to do. Talk to Tom Stillman. You're going to kind of morph Alexander Steen, who has literal hockey in his blood. His daddy was a hell of a hockey player. He is a smart hockey player. He did a lot in that 2019 Stanley Cup run, meaning he's on top line. He used to be a goal scorer, making good money. Yeah. He's a leader, one of the leaders of that team. And you're like, no, you're going to have to play on the fourth line. Like, that's not an easy adjustment to make as a guy like that who's got, respect in the locker room, and he did it. Mm-hmm. And those guys started every single game in the playoffs, and they were fantastic. And he figured out his new role he was going to do. He's a smart guy. The only thing is, he's going to have to talk to the media. I don't know if he likes that much. You know what I mean? So he's got to get used to doing that. But everything else, like, it checks off a lot of boxes with the hockey knowledge of Alexander Steen.
What did you think of the Blues going to Bannister?
That's fine. You got Claude Julien as an assistant coach. He coached me with the Devils. We fired him first place with like 10 games going. Lou Lamoriello fired Claude Julien for some reason. I still haven't figured that one out. Back in 2007, we were crushing everybody. Fired him. He was a fantastic coach. He's a winner. Won in 2011 with Boston. Yeah. So now you got Drew Bannister. Doesn't make too much money. Right. Now you got Claude Julien right there.
Yeah, to help him along.
If this doesn't...
Yeah, they kind of got a couple mentor things going in the front office.
And if this doesn't work out, you don't need to go buy a $6 million coach. You got Claude Julien. Hey, I'm still right here. Remember I won in 2011? I know the scheme. I know what's going on. So you could slide him. I'm just saying there's options now with some of these older school assistant coaches. I like it. Now, Steve Ott probably wants to be a head coach.
Sure. Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's no question about that. Jackson, we will take a break. I guess we're at the bottom of the hour. I forget that I got to hit breaks here, Cam. I don't do a real good job with it, I'll be honest with you.
I know you don't.
I just am all over the place. 10:34 in St. Louis. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers. We'll take a break, come back with the second half of Balloon Party. Cam Janssen joining me and Jackson Burkett today here on Balloon Party. Driven by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota, 101 ESPN.
This is Action Jackson with a SportsCenter update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals lose last night, final score of 3-0 to the Cincinnati Reds. They take on the Reds again tonight, 6:45 p.m. first pitch. Los Angeles Lakers news. Big man Christian Wood underwent another surgical procedure in his left knee Monday. Will be reevaluated in approximately 8 weeks. That was another SportsCenter update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome back to Balloon Party 101 ESPN. Shows driven by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you as always. Special guest Cam Janssen in studio today. Cam, we're getting a bunch of texts on the Air Comfort Service text inbox, 314-399-9648. And I wanted to read a few here and see what you have to say. Cam, I'd love your help about prospects camp this week. I'm taking my son. He loves autographs. Think after practice is a good time to try. Any place better than another? Any other tips besides cute kid with a hot mom to attract the young players over?
Oh, you're good to go.
That's all. That's all.
That's a double whammy right now. Hey, the guys are all cool, man. And they're pretty lenient with. They'll have exposure, and you'll be able to get in. The place will probably be pretty packed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and if it's at Centene, it's easy. You got a nice little restaurant right there. Hang out. You'll see other players cruising around. So, yeah, you'll have the opportunity for sure. But bring the hot mom around.
The hot mom will help the cause.
That'll get you backstage.
Let's see. I would love to know where you guys were on September 11th. That's from the 618. Today, the 23rd anniversary of September 11th. Cam, where were you?
I was in Windsor, Ontario, playing for the Windsor Spitfires in the Ontario Hockey League, skipping school with two of my teammates and like 2 other people in my 88. God, I had an 88 Firebird in Canada in Windsor. And I remember it popped up on Detroit Rock Station. And we're like, whoa. So we went back to school, and they brought us all in, and they brought a TV out. They rolled out one of those, and we watch it. We're like, what? And everybody's like, Cam, you okay? I'm like, I live in the middle United States. I'm okay. I don't know too many people there. So that was really weird. They shut down everything, even in Canada, for a long time. And then the next year, I get drafted by the Devils, and I'm in Jersey and New York. The next year, there's still like literally smoke still piling up from the and I'm talking to all these people at restaurants and meeting different people through training camp and stuff like that, and everybody had a story about somebody they knew that was involved in something when all that went down. So it was pretty hardcore, a little wake-up call going to Jersey the next year and really hear people talk
about the smoke coming up from it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It blows me away, but this is the math. I mean, at this point, Jackson's 26, so you have
None.
recollection of September 11th.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, we were united for a bit there, man, in the country.
For real.
Big time.
I mean, intensely. George W. Bush throwing out the first pitch at Game 3 of the World Series at Yankee Stadium was a poignant moment. And that's really saying something. This isn't necessarily political so much as it's historical. The country at that time was still divided, not like I would say now, but divided over Bush v. Gore and the controversy surrounding the 2000 election. But everybody came together following September 11th. And so from that standpoint, there was at least that bright spot out of that incredibly tragic day. When you see that, I can't imagine that it resonates with you like it does for me and Cam. I was 24. Cam was, 17? Yeah. So when you see it, I like what strikes you? I'm sure you've watched plenty of shows on it.
Oh, yeah, documentaries, shows, whatever it may be, but seen, obviously, the actual footage of it, which is, like, it's almost impossible to watch, and I got a lot of family up in New York, and so it's tough. You go there, and you've been to the Ground Zero, and it's harrowing. But what I've always heard, and what the consensus of any documentary you watch or you ask anybody is the same thing Cam just said: is how united it brought the nation together. How nothing like this had ever happened before on American soil, and so when it came to America, it was just like it was gross, and then people how they came together was the. In the wake of such tragedy, for there to be, like some unity afterwards. Whereas if you think of something like that happened now, I don't think it could be the same. And so it is that moment. It's like a watershed moment in American history.
There were some sports moments that stick out with people. For those who remembered, I mentioned the George W. Bush World Series pitch, throwing the fastball, Jeter telling him, you better not bounce it, and he delivered. Here locally, Jack Buck, who was super proud of his poetry. He was passionate about writing poetry toward the end of his life, and I had interviewed him, I guess, 2 months earlier at his home, and he showed me some of the poems that he had, I think, written out, handwritten at his home. And then 2 months later, famously, you can look this up on YouTube, he delivers a poem right the first night that baseball returned, a week or 10 days afterwards, that is still cited to this day by people beyond St. Louis. But he read it on the field at Busch Stadium, and he would pass away, 5 months later. But that was one of the lasting final images of Jack Buck locally. Nationally, they shut down the leagues, and then returned with as much pageantry as you can possibly have, considering everything that had happened. But the patriotism that occurred following that, yeah, you're right, Cam. That's a.
Remember Sammy Sosa just running out with the flag?
Yeah.
Mark Messier, somebody just chimed in on that. Came out with the fireman's helmet.
Yes.
So, yeah,
yes,
just
I forgot
looked,
all about that.
in New York and MSG. That was just a hardcore moment. So it did bring the country together. Yeah. And then, of course, years go by, and then the country gets divided again.
But I've seen the video of George Bush throwing at that first pitch, and you have to think this is a major moment. You're going out, obviously it's something trivial, like just throwing a baseball, but it's an important moment, and he fires a strike right down the middle.
And there's snipers on top of stadium. Right. I mean, it's a different deal. Yeah. I went to the Super Bowl. The Rams played the Patriots in, covering it for KMOV. And it was so strange to go to the Superdome, walking into that building. We had to get there hours earlier. And there was barbed wire all around the Superdome and rocket launchers. I mean, it looked like something that you would go, you were talking about playing hockey in Russia. I mean, it made me feel like I was in some kind of random third world country, and yet you're going to the premier American event, the Super Bowl, and that was the thought process. Like, hey, if they're going to hit something, that's the mindset. You were always like, what would be logical for the next thing to be hit? The Super Bowl, a dome stadium, that would be prime.
But Jackson didn't realize, though, we had it pretty good with the airports, man.
You guys walk right in.
We walk, literally
to the gate. Do you
walk
go to the
right
gate?
in.
Right.
People could come in and see you walk off the plane and greet you. And it just completely changed. You've never got to really go through that.
All my whole life has been kind of post 9/11 and what happened afterwards.
You always say, and I guess you say this off air, that your favorite movie of all time is Love Actually.
Right.
And
of course.
And when they're all walking off the plane at the end, that's a pre 9/11 thing. You can't do that.
Right. Yeah. The 1995 classic Kicking and Screaming, where he goes to the airport to chase his girl and realizes he has no money for the ticket, but he's right there at the gate. He's right there.
I think a guy lived at the airport for like a month or something.
Terminal?
Yeah, Terminal. Yeah.
Tom Hanks' best performance.
I mean,
you're not high on that.
I didn't watch that.
Tom Hanks has been ice cold for some years now.
Oh, is that right? Tom Hanks taking shrapnel from the owner of goodorbad.com, the authority on film. Cam, I don't know if you're aware of that. Jackson's the authority on film.
I thought there was going to be a Forrest Gump 2, and then I look, and
they
it's
have
all...
a book.
Is there?
There's a book, Forrest Gump 2. Yeah.
Okay, but
there was a trick played on AI on TikTok.
He'll get you.
Yeah, I have to tell you, it got me too. I'm a little embarrassed by it. I got
Well, they remake everything, so they might,
They're remaking St. Elmo's Fire, and what else did we talk about? Goonies. Both made in, I think, 1985.
Sounds right. Yeah.
Goonies is kind of cool as a kid.
Goonies
St. Elmo's
is great.
Fire, I never really got into.
I don't know if I really understand what they're going to be doing in the Goonies in their 50s. I don't know what Corey Feldman's doing as it is.
Just buying your nostalgia is what they're doing, Tim.
He's singing and sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
Not a fan?
Nah, he's just bizarre a little bit. He's just weird. It's all good.
Your thoughts on Corey Feldman, 314-399-9646. They're active in the YouTube chat. They're happy to see you in here, Cam.
Appreciate that.
The YouTube chat is active. 136 people have gotten together. Jackson, we are now doing trivia?
Yeah, in the next segment we'll do...
and it's Cam Janssen trivia?
Cam Janssen trivia. Tickets to Blues and Brews.
What is Eureka?
not the question.
Oh, I just tried to get out.
There is something in there that I was going to ask question wise, but it's too hard to word, and it's not very nice. It's not very.
You're going to sharpshoot. You're going to chirp Cam.
Well,
that's a good idea.
Cam, you have an NHL record.
Yeah.
The most amount of games before scoring your first point is held by Cam Janssen.
Do you know how hardcore that was, though? How hard that was on me? Seriously.
Were you getting chirped?
Yes.
The boys were
getting chirped. The boys were all over me, man. I stayed in the lineup because I was doing other things. but that aged me big time. Okay. Oh God. No, it's all good. It's all good.
That's not the question I was going to ask because I was like,
it's true.
Yeah.
That was tough. That was tough.
Fat Bob says Cam is the man. You have the support.
Cam is the
Fat
man.
Bob.
Cam is the
Jackson
man.
sideways with a guy named Dan Janssen, and I'd like to see
not
you
to be
guys work
confused with
together.
Cam Janssen. Yeah, not to be confused with Cam
That does
Janssen.
sound familiar. I wonder if that's what that's about. All right, Cam Janssen trivia for the Blues and Brews tickets coming your way. On the other side of the break, get ready to text in at 314-399-9646. That's coming up on the final segment of Balloon Party here on 101 ESPN. I'm going to ask St. Louis Acura. I'm going to ask Burkhardt Alton Toyota, the presenting sponsor of Balloon Party, the place I go to get my cars, the place my family goes to get their cars, the place we recommend you go to get your cars. Whether it's new, whether it's pre-owned, work with Jamie Burkhardt and Peter Munganast, and I don't know if you'll ever work with anybody else. They are wonderful gentlemen who run two great dealerships. That's Munganast, St. Louis Acura, and Munganast Burkhardt Alton Toyota. Online at stlouisacura.com and online at altontoyota.com. And if you have any questions or requests for them, they set up a number just for our listeners, and that number is 314-252-0029. Jamie Burkhardt and Peter Munganast want to be able to answer your questions and any requests you may have, so they make themselves available via that number at 314-252-0029. Just go shopping at stlouisacura.com or altontoyota.com. It's Munganast, St. Louis Acura, Munganast Burkhardt, Alton Toyota. Welcome back to Balloon Party 101 ESPN. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett. Special guest today, Cam Janssen on the program. And Jackson, for our trivia for Blues and Brews, coming up Friday, September 20th at the Anheuser-Busch Brewery. We're giving away 2 tickets today, and we're going to do Cam Janssen trivia.
Yeah, well, Cam said he's pretty confident he's going to be out at Blues and Brews, hanging out with the people at Anheuser-Busch. So I figured this would be a perfect time for do some Cam Janssen trivia.
All right. So the first person to text in the right answer gets the Blues and Brews tickets.
Yep.
All right. 314-399-9646, Air Comfort Service text line. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to produce to you Jackson Bennett Burkett.
Cam Janssen. He played ice hockey. And
Nice. Isn't that a great intro?
Isn't that
You ever
nice?
introduced like that?
Ice
It's
hockey.
like Costas is in here
You had to
today.
put the ice in there.
that's right. Well, I just don't want anyone getting confused.
Yeah, they won't.
Yeah.
Cam played ice hockey, and he played in the NHL. What year was Cam drafted to the NHL?
Ooh.
This is going to be answered so quickly.
I mean, you know.
Well, he kind of stepped on the best trivia questions. What team in England did Cam Janssen play for? That's
So now
kind of
you're
That would have been a good one.
yeah. That's what I'm saying.
That would have been a
Text
good
in the
one.
answer. First
Yeah.
one
What
in
year?
is going to get
What
the,
year was Cam Janssen drafted?
It's funny. I actually got it. You remember the non-ling, Kevin Lorenz?
Yeah.
Your boy from the late night score. Well, as soon as we get the answer, Jackson, do we have?
How do you like someone sent in 1994?
I didn't like that too much. I saw that 740. There it is.
Cam's looking at this text.
There it is.
Answer is correct right there. 314 nailed it. The answer is 2002.
There you go.
That's right, baby.
There you go.
2002.
117, New Jersey. I was in Toronto with my mom and dad.
What was that moment like?
Unbelievable. I did I met with a ton of different teams. My agent flew my parents in and my billets from the Windsor and stuff like that. And I thought I was going to go in a second to 4. And then the third round came, and there's a kid sitting right next to me that played on my team with the Windsor Spitfires. So when the Devils came up in the third round, we're sitting next to their family too. Lou comes up, or whoever it was, and goes, okay, with our certain pick from the Windsor Spitfires. And me and my dad get up like, F yeah, baby. Aaron Niddle. And we're like, hey. And he's right there. We say, hey, like, good job, Nitty. We love you, dude. And then, the next round comes and they said my name and me and my dad high-fived each other. Everybody else is like, oh, sir. We high-five, screaming, yelling, cussing like a bunch of hillbillies from Eureka. We don't care. We didn't care.
That is outstanding.
Yeah.
Hey, what Kevin Lorenz is asking, would love to know what it's like to negotiate with Doug Armstrong. I think Cam signed in St. Louis in 2010, left as a free agent in 2011, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
I didn't deal with
I was about to say, you probably weren't sitting down trading numbers.
I think that was my contract was up, and they had a meeting, and Al McKernan was like, sign him 1 more year. We'll keep him 1 more year. And they're like, okay, we'll do that. And then they got Ryan Reeves coming up, and he wasn't quite ready yet. So, yeah, a lot of my negotiations weren't really like that detailed. You know what I mean?
You're saying they were one-sided,
no.
kind of a take it or leave it?
When I was young, it was a little different when you get drafted, and I got a third year on my entry level, and then I got a third year on my first one-way contract, which usually probably get a fourth line guy, but I got a nice signing bonus at 18. So they gave me a couple $100,000 right when I turned 18, right when I got drafted, which was nice. I had no money. I spent that money.
Was it wisely?
No, I was making it rain, and doing this. My buddies, flying my buddies. I just spent a lot of it. It's all good.
Tim said T-tops.
Yeah, I got a big excursion or whatever it was. Bought a house though.
A lot of people knew 2002. I'm looking at these things come in. I mean,
Saw
they're still coming in.
86. Saw 1986.
Somebody got 86.
You better
Monday Night
calm
Miracle.
down.
Yeah, Cam will find you. He'll track you down. Cam, thanks so much for coming. I mean, isn't this
Anytime.
amazing? This just flies by.
Pretty easy. Yeah, pretty good, man. It was fun.
Cam, great to see you, brother.
Good
Fun.
to see you guys.
And listen to him on the Cam and Strick podcast. It's a hell of a listen. And if you haven't listened to the Doug Armstrong interview, major recommendations on that as well. Cam Janssen, one of the greats, joining us here on Balloon Party. BK and Ferrario coming up next for Jackson Burkett and Cam Janssen. I'm Tim McKernan. This has been Balloon Party on 101 ESPN. James Carlton, Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency. He presents Gabe DeArmond every Monday on TMA and every Friday on Balloon Party. He is my insurance agent. I recommend you make the switch to James Carlton. If you do so, they will do all of the paperwork for you. You can call 314-961-4800 or go online at carltoninsurance.net. James has a large staff, and that's to make sure that anytime you call those offices in between business hours, you are going to talk to a live person who is part of James's staff. No call centers. Customer service is prioritized for James Carlton. 314-961-4800. Go online at carltoninsurance.net. Check him out on Google as well, because you'll see 378 five-star reviews for James. Not all insurance agents are the same. And once you make the switch to James Carlton, you'll see that firsthand. Go online at carltoninsurance.net, 314-961-4800. If your insurance costs a leg and an arm, call James Carlton, State Farm.